Hey! So welcome everybody to the first Kent Digital Meetup Ashford. Very exciting. Oh, who thought there were so many creative people in Ashford? This is amazing! Thank you for coming everybody, really, really great. I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, so Space Between, hello. Reflect Digital, hello. Thanks to Space Between people who didn't cheer. And obviously Ashford Borough Council as well, so really, really pleased that you're all here today. Really, really pleased that you've all come today. We're really happy to be able to put this on for you all, so thank you very much for coming. I just want to fly through a couple of bits quickly before we start. The first thing I want to start on is a bit of a more of a serious topic, which we don't normally cover here, and you definitely don't normally hear come out of my mouth. So one thing I really want to quickly touch on is mental health. So I think this is really important at the moment. I think in our industry especially, I think there's lots and lots of pressures. We're always pushing ourselves to be better at what we do. We look around at fantastic people. I'm looking at loads and loads of them now, and you look at them and think, they're doing really, really well, I want to do like that. There's so much pressure. But I want everyone just to have a little look around this room now at all the other people that are here, and really seriously, if anybody has any troubles or anything they ever want to speak about, that is what this is about. And seriously, this is all my details. These are my, you can call me on these numbers, you can email me. If any of you ever want to talk about something that is a serious chat or whatever, whether it's, you know, take me for a beer, that's lovely, or we can just sit and we can have a serious conversation, please do, and I urge you all to do that because it's really, really important. So, thank you. The other thing I just really quickly want to cover is I've had a few questions about what's going on. We're in Ashford, why aren't we in Canterbury? What happened to Canterbury? Well, football didn't come home, unfortunately, so the reason we didn't do Canterbury last time is because of the football. It was coming home for a while, it didn't, unfortunately. We are going to still run Canterbury and Ashford as two separate events. So I've got that the wrong way around, but the Ashford event is going to be run in the tap room here. This is where it's going to be, and it's going to be the third Wednesday of every month. The next one's going to be on the 15th of August. And Canterbury is going to be the second Wednesday of every month. And it's going to be, from now on, it's going to be in Augustine House, which is the university, Christchurch University in town, which will be a really cool venue. So look out. And in the future, we're also going to have the Maidstone Kent Digital. So it's growing. We're not moving it around, we're growing it. We've got Maidstone Kent Digital, which is going to start. It's going to be Heart of Flavour. Is that right? Yeah, that is right. So I really doubted myself as I read that then. Wrong date. 25th. The 25th of September, we're going to be in Maidstone. This is what happens when you make slides while having everything else to do. 25th of September, we're going to be, normally I don't even put this in, so this is a good start. 25th of September, we're going to be in Maidstone. It's going to be the fourth Tuesday of every single month, and it's going to be run by the Reflect Digital team. Woo! Team. So it's growing, and at the same time, if you know, the whole thing around this is Kent Digital Meetup. If anybody here knows of anybody who thinks their town needs a Kent Digital Meetup, or knows a company who wants to get behind that, reach out to us. You can get us at kdm@spacebetween.co.uk. Speak to me, speak to Lauren or Alex. Alex, put your hand in the air. Lauren, put your hand in the air. And stand up, Lauren. reach out to any of us if that's of interest to you, because we're really interested in kind of spreading this out. So, I'll shut up for a minute. In a minute. So, our first speakers, normally what I do is I say to the speakers we get here, come over here and let me have a quick chat. And I want to know how to introduce you. Both speakers tonight, I'm still not 100% what it is they're going to talk about, but I'm really excited. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm really, really interested in this. I don't want to ask too many questions because I'm really excited for the talk. So, this is Ayoy and Esteban, who are going to talk about a mixture of virtual reality, augmented reality, and dance. They've worked with the likes of Create and many, many other people, and they're going to go run through a specific one of their projects now. They've also brought a VR headset with them, so afterwards, and I'm going to go first, afterwards there's the opportunity to have a go on the experience they're going to be talking about today and actually get to experience it as well. So, I'm going to hand over to you lovely people.
Thank you. Hello everyone, so my name is Esteban and my partner Aoi Nakamura. We are both professional dancers for many, many, many years. We are still dancing with a professional dance company, here based actually in Ashford, called Jasmine Vardimont Dance Company. But 5 years ago, Ari and I met in a studio creative space and we decided to work together. And we've been asked to come here tonight to talk to you about our first major production called WHIST. And WHIST is a mix of virtual reality, dance, visual art,
augmented reality, 3D sound. Yep.
So we're going to talk to you about how did we came to this idea, how the process went, where did we tour, and why we're doing it, and how we got the ideas, and blah 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 blah. But first, before I start, I wanted to roughly ask to everyone who is more like artistic side, and who is more like tech side. So who is more like artistic side? Cool, like dance, theater, visual art. That's cool. And then the rest of you are more like digital, and I guess, yeah, digital. Everyone, yeah, cool. So yeah.
With VR and dance.
And yeah, who is familiar with VR? Okay, and dance? Not dancing in the club, but like, So yeah, Ari and I got in the studio together because we wanted to start to think a way of bringing the audience inside the work, inside our performance, inside our experiences, creating experiences for the audience, and also create experiences that are not especially bound by stage. So we're going to talk to you about WHIST today, but we've been involved in many other creations, we're collaborating with other artists. So we create immersive performance, we create stage performance, we give a lot of workshop as well to dance or architects or about virtual reality and stuff. So basically we learn a lot of things during this creation. It took us 4 years to make this work. And so now we are sharing as much as we can with many different people we can. So this is me, if you didn't recognize it, this is Ari. This is a trailer from the production.
The wine lures in golden cups, but drink not yet, and I'll sing you a song. The song of sorrow shall ring laughingly in your soul. Dark is life, dark is death.
So, as you've seen in the movie, we got some objects, sculptures in the room that are interacting with the headset, and we got 20 audience members every hours. Those audience members are giving the headset a short introduction, and they go through the story. Now we build the story in a way that we managed to create a bespoke program that captures the gaze of the audience. So in every scene, we know exactly where the audience are looking at, and that's triggering a specific path for them for the next scene. That means that they're going to being asked to go to a specific object in the room. At the end of an hour experience, they're going to get a big number on their screen. And when they come back to us, we explain to them they can log on our website, click their number, and this will give them an analysis of their personality depending on which path they took during the story. The whole story is based on, inspired by Freudian case studies. And yeah, we got 76 possibilities to explore one narrative. So I'm going to talk to you through now how we managed to do that. Usually it's a lecture that I give, and it takes us 2 hours to do that. Now I've got 19 minutes left. To look at is it's the different venues that we tour. So we are like mainly a dance company, but working a lot with new technology, digital, call it how you want it. And so far we've been touring in like 7 different countries, 12 different cities, UK, Germany, Sweden. We went to Azerbaijan. Do you know Azerbaijan? It's cool, go there, guys. Yeah, and also and we went to, yeah, different festivals and stuff. So this is a cast. So me and Ari again, we work with a technology partner. They are based in London. They call Happy Finish. So when we met them in 2014, they were starting to develop their VR department. We met them on another project, and we already had the idea of making something with VR. So when we saw them like with a 360 camera in the room, we jumped on them and say, hey guys, we got an idea, we need to meet, and blah, blah. So that's what we've done. And then they've really been supportive always through the creation process with us. We got 2 composers on board. So Joseph Van Biesem, you might know him through movies with Jim Jarmusch. He won the Cannes World Film Festival for his music. Scott Gibbons, who is a composer working a long time with Romeo Castellucci, who is a big theater maker. And Jamie Shaw is the visual artist that helped us to design the whole set. And now, so I'm going to start to speak about how we did create the VR experience. So in 2014, we started to have this idea of, we started from a concept, and the concept was the Minotaur. We wanted to talk about the Minotaur. And then through our research, we found out that Freud was talking about the Minotaur and our unconscious, and us being the Minotaur in our unconscious and traveling through. At the same time, on TV, we saw this video that went viral. You might have seen it, where this guy is wearing a headset and a roller coaster, and the guy is pushing him from behind. He's like freaking out. And so from there we saw, oh, that medium is cool. You know, I think that's all we knew about that medium. We know, like, okay, you wear the headset and you're completely immersed into an environment. Right, what can we do with that? And that's all we knew. But we didn't know anything about VR, so we didn't get restricted straight away about, but with VR you cannot do this, you're gonna be, you know, you cannot upload too many footage, or and so on and so on and so on. We created our whole stuff. Why VR was interesting for us, and so like I was saying, we needed to find the connection between the technology and the creative content. And so this VR, we thought, like, immerse into dreams, or mixing the reality, dream, conscious, and that.
Real and digital, that led us to go into to VR.
Yeah. And then cutting the touring costs. So for those who are familiar with dance company, to tour a piece, you have the dancer, the technicians, and then you have the set, and then you need to rent the theater a day before to get in, to rig all the light, do the sound check, and then you have a technical run, or we call a technical run, where we do a run to fill up the show. So it costs a lot of money. What we saw with this new technology is that our whole piece could just be a file, a simple file into a phone, using headset and headphones, and that's where, oh sorry, you set it up. And that's where we saw that could be interesting as well. We are a young company, we just started our first production, and I think that would be a good help for us to be able to show ourselves and show our work. What else? Immersion into the work, keeping both the magic of the theater and bringing VFX. That's something that we saw as well. On theater, on stage we can create a lot of magic, because that's what we are, we're performers. But we saw that if we could bring the VFX from the film industry into that magic, that we could create something beyond that what we can do on stage. So the aim was not to repeat what already exists in terms of immersive theater. Immersive theater has been explored, especially in the UK, a lot. And I think everyone knows Punch Drunk Company. You've probably seen their shows in London. They have a show in New York that's still running after so many years. They just opened one in Shanghai, and they do a lot of educational work with children as well. So those guys, we work with them actually on Sleep No More in London, and we really didn't want to repeat what already exists, because we believe there is nothing better than a live performance. We really wanted to try to get beyond that. What else? Feeling of freedom. That was really important for us. We wanted to bring the audience at the center of the work, but we didn't want them to feel restricted, either with a cable from the Oculus, you know, like you can move, or the fact that we were playing with film, 360 film, and film cannot be interactive. That's, I think you all know, CGI, yeah, you can create a real-time rendering environment and stuff, but with movie you can't. So we had to find ways around that to create a feeling of freedom for the audience. And that's what I meant by the fact that people are in the space, in the scene, triggering different paths on their own. We are not telling them anything. They are making their own choices throughout the show. I'll get in detail more inside. Advocate for dance and theater, because with this medium, we saw the opportunity as well to be able to expose ourselves in different venues. So we went to film festival, we went to museum, we went to, obviously, dance festival, we went to VR
Digital Art Festival, VR show.
in London, you know, the big VR show in London that happened the first year we were there. So, yeah, we saw the opportunity to really advocate for dance and theater and spread ourselves. And for a lot of things also that I forgot. So, the creation process, that's how we went through. Concept development, research, building the past. We're gonna study the past after that. It's my next slide. Then the script writing. Why the script writing is mainly because we work with 40 collaborators on that project. 40 people were involved in that project. And so all that period from there was literally me and Howie alone at home. Like no one were interested. The digital company was waiting for us. We wanted to get funding from Arts Council and from different venues, interest and stuff to pay our performers, pay the digital company and stuff. But all that is me and Howie alone at home. Just, I think it's gonna work. I think. And then script writing is, at some point we were working with so many departments that we felt like every time we were telling the same thing to different people on Skype meetings and stuff, and we felt like we need everyone on the same page, so we wrote a script somehow. But we didn't meant to write a script like when you write a movie, you know, and so on. Same for the storyboard making. Actually, we were trying to make a storyboard like movies, and it didn't work because we were working with 360 environment, and I couldn't draw my scene, or I couldn't explain well or anything. So what we ended up doing is to build the 360 space where the whole story is going to happen. And I placed all the different rooms where my character would navigate through their journey. And that's how we build our story as well. And also where to place the audience in that scene. So we had a little fake tripod made with toothpick, where I wanted, okay, my audience, I wanted to be in the center, I wanted to be there, I wanted it to be here or on the ceiling. So we could better visualize the journey of the characters, but also we could also better visualize the journey of the audience. How the audience will navigate through these 76 possibilities of the story. Then we went on creation with the performers. We work with like amazing top-class performers that have been performing for many, many years. They are even older than us. They are people that we respect. We were admiring them when we were younger. And it was really difficult to find the right time for them to come, but we managed to shoot everything in 3 days, I think. 3 days, day and night. Then we went to shooting and post-production. Post-production, development, set design, 3D soundscape design, and review. That took us a good year. Yeah?
6 months.
6 months.
But everything had to go parallel. So one was late, then we had to wait another. So it was really a process of getting everyone managed together and go.
Yeah, from between the programmer to the footage to render. So we were playing with VFX and cutting the movie quite a lot as well. So the rendering could take, for like a 5-minute scene, it could take like 2 weeks to render. So we had to wait 2 weeks. Yeah, please wait 2 weeks because, so how's it going? It crashed. Okay, so it crashed, so we need to wait again. So because we really wanted everything, we couldn't go forward with the movie and then not talk to the composer that would compose at the same time that we will send the rush to them and them to create and compose. Or
we were making this app working with shifting between AR and VR, AR and VR, so you see the real and then getting better, real, better, which means that set designer had to work with the
Programmer.
programmer to up the camera to recognize this object. So that also took us time bouncing our ideas and set designer to programmer us that. So that took us quite a long time to, yeah.
yeah, how many objects we have in the room?
We have 11 objects.
So we have 11 sculptures and 20 people for each slot. And yeah, people go from trigger one object, they go in the scene, somehow they trigger a specific pass, and then when the scene finishes, the camera feed of the headset comes on, so they see the room with the physical, and they have on that camera feed they have a big watermark which represents the next object they have to go to, and that gives them the information that they have to go to this object, explore the object, how to trigger it, and trigger, and so on and so on and so on.
So we need to finish soon.
Where's my turn? Okay. So, 76 possibilities. This is the path that we created. And so those are the scenes here. And the round things are the objects. But this is only for one character. So I've got a second character, a third character. We got 3 main characters plus 2 other people around. And this is the whole story with all the paths combined together. So that's how we plan our experience. And you see, like, you can go from here to here, here to there, but from here you can go here as well, you can go here. But we had to close doors sometimes as well, because you could end up in like loops, infinite loops. So we had to close doors to make the story go. So people start from the same object, from same scene, and then they split, come back to a middle object, and then split again, and come back all at the end for a last final scene. Yeah, so that's one of the scenes, and I'm talking about perspective in relation to the action, perspective in relation to the story, because we wanted to play with perspective. We are talking about unconscious, conscious, dream, reality, and in the objects themselves, you can see them from different perspectives, and you will get a different opinion to it. In the story, the same. If you follow more one character than another, you will get a different opinion on the characters. And same on the action. So the camera, where we place the camera, so where we place our audience, we had like a massive play around with that. We wanted, for example, the camera is placed against the wall in that section, which means that we created this action which is quite intense in front of them, which means that if they wanted to escape and look somewhere else, they couldn't. They would face the wall. That's what we play for that scene, for example. The next one here, the camera was on top of the guy, of the head of the guy, and the guy is sitting here, so you really feel like you are the actor. So again, you shift from one place in the room to another place, and this time as an actor. Here is a bit tricky to see, but we got the stage, and we got the front of the stage, and we place the camera at the front of the stage here. And we play with basic theater lighting and stuff.
By the way, Ashford, you see at the next to the
train station. And so we use the light at the front of the stage to blind the back of the camera here, which means you couldn't see that. You could only see the beginning of the scene on stage. And then the light turned off here. The actor was jumping in front of the stage, light opening there, turning dark here, and that's what you would see. So we're trying to also make the viewer navigate in the virtual world as well as the physical world. The physical world, they're navigating through different objects in the room. In the virtual world, we're trying to make them navigate through different space as well, even so they are not interacting with the movie. Next one is basic, hanging above the table. And when you see this scene, you feel like a bit like a ghosty feeling, because you don't have legs, you don't see anything, you just see the...
But some people said that they are because there is a hat on in underneath. So some people said it felt like that some people are eating my earth. Yeah.
And this is the installation. So the work's been premiered at the Gulbenkian at the Gulbenkian in Canterbury last year in April 2017. And those are the objects that I was talking to you for the whole time. Yeah, so you can see different perspective. There is a narrative also in the object. So this is the first part, and then the object become melted. So that's a melted version of the objects. So yeah, people are bending over to trigger the object. The objects, for example, those ones are low down on the floor, but it's not just something fancy. We decided that we put them down on the floor. It's because we work them in relation to the camera, which means that for those scenes, the camera was placed down on the floor. And so when you're looking at the footage, you're feeling that you're watching from the floor here. So when people are triggering those objects, they're actually crouching down to the floor and trying to trigger the object, which means that the code going through their nervous system is relating to the code of the floor that they're watching from in the VR. So we try to connect always the real and the virtual together. And that's something really important that we didn't want to ignore or to bring people to completely ignore the reality. That's something that we didn't want to. We wanted to keep them in the real, and sometimes people are like next to each other trying to trigger the same object, and that's what we want as well. We want those physical contacts between them, because if you're watching something really intense, suddenly someone is touching you, is bringing back, and we find this quite interesting to bring in the show. Yeah, so I went quick through the thingy. But I don't know why there is this picture.
I just wanted to
okay.
different type of venues that we toured, and because the installation is really flexible in terms of the space that we require, so we can shrink down, we can expand, and yeah. Yeah,
that was really nice. That was in the Stuttgart library. It's a big modern white building, and inside it's square, and inside you have a square, what they call the heart. And going all the way on of the top of the building was really beautiful space. Perspective in the...
It's 20 minutes.
Yeah, what is the time? I don't see.
Left is hours.
Okay. So, yeah, so how do we make them choose capture the gaze and stuff? We created invisible triggers in the footage. So for example, like for the first scene, it's really basic. It's nothing happening in the first scene. They are just sitting around the table with their hands here, and the triggers is placed in front of them. For this one, we use elements from the room. So we use this bird cage here that got sound. When you look at it, the sound, something start to speak to you. You have the door that acting as a trigger, and you have this picture frame here. And actually, in that picture frame, it's a movie, and it's the movie of the next scene that you're gonna see. So it's not obvious, it's not like in your face. And when you're in the room, it's not jumping in your face, but like if you are like a bit curious and observing in the space, you're gonna see that the picture frame is actually moving. And by watching that, then you trigger in the next pass. Here we got the box and the door at the back. And that's the difficulties we met over how to play 60 minutes of footage into a Samsung phone. That was challenging. Same for the 3D sound, how to combine the footage and the 3D sound together. We used Unity, but then we had to tailor each scene and sound together, which means that one scene might be heavier than the sound that was corresponding to the scene, which means that the phone will load faster the sound and slower the footage. So we had to recalibrate everything by hand to make sure that movies and sound were starting together. The stitching line is a big problem in VR. We did our best. It's what the guys in tech call time consuming, but in dance world, in art world, you don't have time consuming. So we really spend time and really try to push them to get the best out of it. the AR trigger on the 3D surface. So we didn't want like just a 2D image to trigger the VR. We really wanted the object to be able to trigger the headset. So that was challenging. Placement of trigger on the film, short budget, long time rendering, and so on. Yeah, the workflow between the different departments. You don't speak the same to a developer than a visual artist to a VFX artist. And that was really a massive learning curve for us as an experience to how to deal with those different people and how to make sure that we keep the vision of the work till the end, even so it was really tiring for everyone. And this is the feedback from the audience.
I really enjoyed just, seeing a piece of art that you're actually in. I've never experienced that before. I've seen things like Bill Viola where you're watching it from the outside, but actually to be in it is a whole new next step, and it's amazing. I loved it.
It was amazing, yeah. It was really interesting. It's the first time I've done anything like this, and it was, really immersive. You totally got lost in it. It was really good. I just think that I just kind of totally lost touch with the reality that I was in and just got totally engrossed in the production.
The virtual reality I thought was fantastic, being able to turn around and see everything and walking about afterwards. It was a bit weird because you felt like the earth was down there, like having bifocal glasses on and you've never had them before. But because that's my first experience of it.
Just strange. Obviously, you see the different people, and it's difficult to explain. But you don't want to miss anything. So often you're looking around to sort of see what other people are doing and just trying to work out. It was just intriguing to sort of see where it was going to go and where the journey was going to go, and try and figure out what is happening here and the bits and pieces, and the accordion player that seemed to be in weird places. It was connected but not connected. It's that same thing with Dream where you don't quite know what it all comes from or what the imagery is. It's there, and it was enjoyable. Really enjoyed it.
The more real bit is the fact that everything was larger than life. The chap came in was bigger than me, or he appeared to be.
Yeah.
Because of the way it was filmed, and that is what dreams do. Did you see the chap in the first place? Who ended up on the couch
with the woman
covered over? No, without the woman.
No. Do you know?
Then the woman.
If I didn't experience WHIST, I would have missed out on something different and unusual.
If I didn't experience WHIST, I would have missed out on a great opportunity.
Then there was the one where the woman was in the room and she was
She
behind
stripped
the
off,
couch.
and then she sort of came up between the bloke's legs when he was sitting
No.
there. No.
She's saying it's amazing. We only we cut all the bad comments anyway. So.
No, we get all sorts of comments, negative, positive, but each country we go is exactly the same, so it proves that
We have a range of reactions, but the range is always the same in Azerbaijan, than in Sydney, than in London, then in Canterbury, it's the same. Yeah. But you see, people are walking the space. We are not here behind them, like telling them, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. We really try to make the whole experience really intuitive and really easy. I was always thinking about my little brother or my grandma. I want both of them to enjoy the same experience, even so my grandma doesn't know what means virtual reality. So
don't miss it.
and you can touch the object. We didn't want something where please don't touch or don't do anything. We encourage them to touch. And
what we are also eventually really interested in is to make the audience move. So eventually we are choreographing the audience movement as well. So that's why we wanted to them to move in this space.
And those are all the places we tour so far. But you see, that's CPH Doc, one of the biggest film festivals in Europe. The VR show in London, Geneva International Film Festival, Sydney Festival, and recently Sadler's Wells as well in London. So that was cool. And yeah, that's the last slide. Credits. Yeah, voilà.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been enjoying the pizza, so thank you to whoever arranged that. So my name is Froi, and I'm from a company called Digital Town. And we are an American company headquartered out in Seattle. And our mission is here. We are working to empower communities to co-create stronger local economies and brighter tomorrows. And that's really important to me on a very personal basis. So my background is as a professional community organizer, where I worked with community groups to build social justice campaigns. So I've worked on campaigns for the living wage, affordable housing, and young people's mental health. And shout out to Luke for raising those issues, very important issues. And the real defining moment in my life was in 2008, when I graduated from university and I entered the job market at the height of the Great Recession. And I saw the real impact that had on my close friends and my family. And I was always raised up with the idea, if you work hard, you do the right thing, things will be all right. They weren't. And sometimes it's not enough. And sometimes there are systemic reasons for those issues. 10 years on from the Great Recession, it's hard to believe it's 10 years, right? We have now a new economy built on digital. So we have great platforms. Some of these companies didn't even exist 10 years ago. So Amazon, OpenTable, Expedia, Uber, great companies, great service, great UX. But what we're finding is within the digital economy, they're tending towards becoming increasingly extraction economy. So what do I mean by that? So in the audience, I was speaking to someone here who owns an independent hotel. And we were talking about the impact that Expedia has been having. Great at delivering a customer base to those hotels, but it's not unheard of for a small independent hotel to be charged up to 40% in commission. And when you're a small independent business, 40% is a big, big cut. And you can see that increasingly, like Amazon, OpenTable, Uber, this kind of drift of commissions that are increasing once they become successful and become almost monopolized is a big, big problem. And that affects it really has a massive effect on local businesses, the ability to succeed and thrive, and has ultimately an effect on how towns and our high streets. And so, I guess for me, tech is really cool. I like technology. But I guess whose interest does it serve? Does it serve the interests of people who have their headquarters based in San Francisco? Or does it serve the needs of people like us? And so, we definitely have a vision of how do we put people first in this new and exciting area of, a digital economy, how we buy and how we interact with people. And so we have this, so we're working to build a movement of towns and people to tackle this big issue. What does the future of our town centres and our local economies look like? Look at the challenge of how do we connect, improve the connections and improve the costs for local businesses and for local consumers. And look at tools like digital smart wallets to enable that. And what do I mean by that? So I think I want to talk about two kind of main innovations that we are building here at Digital Town. Firstly, we're looking at building ecosystems for specific places, so for cities or for towns, And so here's an example of our main test city out in Austin in Texas. So it's austin.city, it's all about website and an app. And essentially you can lever the brand of the city to compete in the digital economy. So for instance, so I went with my wife to Tokyo earlier this year, and I noticed something. When I put into Google, I typed in hotels in Japan, sorry, hotels in Tokyo, rather. And sure enough, all the results that dominated the first page were all Booking.com, Hotel.com, Expedia.com, or the like. It wasn't until I think the top result of the second page, I got an actual hotel. But the key search word there wasn't Expedia at Tokyo, it was hotels in Tokyo. Towns and places are really, really powerful brands in their own right. How can they monetize that and create prosperity and share it with people within their community, so deliver good quality services that we need for, you know, for our children, for our parents and grandparents, and make sure we have places that communities can thrive. And so what we're doing is we're building web and mobile apps, and in the first instance we're focusing on four specific verticals: retail, dining, lodging, and services. So I have an example here. In retail, we have a mobile phone charger. I mean, I don't know about you, but I am the worst when it comes to mobile phone chargers. I actually got mine today. I'm about 30% charged. It should last me okay. But ironically, you find it weird that there might be a shop around the corner that you might know about that has a mobile phone charger when you need it to buy it. But from a UX perspective, it's easier to go out to get your phone out, buy it online, and get shipped in from potentially out of the country, right? We want to change that. I mean, that's a real issue for our local economies. And we want to make sure that we disrupt the companies that are disrupting the sectors in these four verticals and make sure towns and people win. So when they become successful, we get cut. So this is the second innovation that I want to talk about here today. So we are building smart wallets. What do I mean by that? When you can move money from one digital piece to another, the cost of that is actually very little. What you can do then, if you're on all the same ecosystem on the same app, then you can transfer money from peer to peer free of charge. We want to build that. So if you can, this is a very common approach in China, where in terms of their smart cities, and they're just like literally 5-10 years ahead of us. So they have like your WePay app. Literally, you open up your app, you have your money stored in an app in your mobile phone, and you can go to a vending machine. You can go to literally a stall in a market. They will have a QR code. You scan it, the money transfer from your app into their app. Job done. And that's transforming the market in China. Starting, I think Starbucks are the biggest version of that in America. But we want to make sure that towns can replicate that approach, and so they can win as well. And we're not doing it just for towns. We are going to be able to do this for cryptocurrencies as well. So we want to make sure that people can use cryptocurrencies to buy pizza if they want to, but then the merchant who receives the money can receive it in whatever currency they want. So they can receive it in crypto or receive it in pound sterling, US dollars, however you want to be paid. And just a bit, so this is all backed by blockchain. And there's a lot of hype about blockchain. I don't want to go too much into it, because I think when people talk about blockchain, they think about get rich quick schemes, and this is definitely not it. So, but I'll talk a little bit about that later on. But towns aren't just about buying stuff, right? You know, the places and the communities we live, we're much more than the rational economic actors some people would want us to think we are. You know, we're people who want to connect with people. We're people who want to make impact in the places that we live. We're people who want to do good in society. And for us, an important vertical that we're building as well is building civic participation to create discussions, volunteer forums for people to volunteer for community projects, raise donations, and vote on local issues. And we're going to tokenizing that, so people are rewarded for doing so. So there's a recognition of that you have contributed to your neighborhood and you should get something back. And by creating these city tokens, as we've currently called it, you can trade these with participating merchants for potentially rewards, discounts, or the like. But why would these merchants want these tokens? Well, for merchants who have these tokens, they can be prioritized for advertisement on the platform, which means that if you are Google or you're a big company, you can't log onto the platform and use your credit card to insert yourself into a local ecosystem. This is a genuinely local first platform for local businesses and local people. So this is one of the most radical concepts, which I think is gaining a lot of interest in some of the thinking about the future of digital. So the term platform cooperativism was coined a couple of years ago. It's usually framed as, what if Uber was owned by the drivers? It's a little bit complex than that, but it's usually explained like that. So when the platform themselves succeeds, the people who are part of that also receive a cut. What do I mean by that? So we have tokenized the platform to make sure that people can claim up to 10 free city shares, as we're calling it, which acts as a smart contract backed by blockchain. So when the platform starts to generate revenue, they can actually gain either potentially a cut of that revenue or a vote on how that revenue will be spent in their local community, depending on how the platform is set up. Just a bit for those who are interested in tech. I'm not a tech person, as you told by my background. But so we are hard coding security based upon self-sovereign identity protocols. Like that. But for us, it's about making sure that we are big fans of the decentralized internet and how we can make sure that power in the digital space is distributed and not monopolized. I mean, we've seen what's happened before with the likes of Facebook and how when power, especially around data, is coalesced around one specific company, the damage and impact that can have on not just people, but a very way of life and democracy. So, as a finishing note, I guess what we're suggesting is that the future is coming, and I think in a real way it's here. I mean, like the awesome talk we had before around virtual reality, it's so cool, it's so awesome. But I think the question for us is about what type of future do we want to have for ourselves, our families, and our children? And is that future going to benefit us? And I guess for us, if you want to get there fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far and co-create a vision of the future of our towns and our cities and how our places should be, then we're inviting you to co-create with us at Digital Town. If you're very interested in doing so, you can come and speak to me at the end. Or if you're a bit more shy, you can go onto our website, www.digitaltown.com, and you can look at what we're doing here. I think it's a place you can register, and for those who live in Ashford, you can be interested in Ashford if and when it comes live, hopefully, maybe, sometime soon. Thank you so much for your time.
That was like exactly what I said at the beginning, right? That was like
word for word.
One of the things that I really like in there, because it happened to me at Christmas, I was walking through town and I wanted to buy a game of Monopoly for my nephews, and I was literally like, I don't know where I can. Like you go into like a Boots or WHIST or other high street chains, and I end up buying on Amazon, and because it's it's easy. Yeah, it is. It is easy. It's easier than going into the shops and being like, no, we don't go somewhere else. So that was really cool, and yeah, lots of ideas. Thank you very much for all of you coming. Please eat the rest of the pizza and have a lovely evening. Thank you.